I'm resident of Collinwood for YouTube. Joel Sains, that's my buddy Patrick McCray, that's my buddy Alan Gallant. We're here to review the movie Winter Kills. John Huston is a hoot in this.
He is. He's got some great monologues.
He does. He does.
Peppered with a lot of obscenities, which I suspect he probably put in himself.
Boy.
Yeah, I have no doubt. When did you guys first see this movie, Alan?
This is it. Yesterday.
Oh.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen this kind of genre film before, and I've seen a lot of John Huston, but I've especially late era John Huston, which is a lot of fun. A lot of the roles that he plays, particularly if you want to look at late era John Huston and see something really deliciously evil, Chinatown is it.
Yeah.
Did you say that starts with Myra Breckinridge?
Oh yeah, probably. But that was sort of a disaster piece. It was, without being intentionally a disaster piece. I know somebody that worked on that.
That's what you said.
This fellow that I mentioned before, that was a contract player in the 50s and 60s for Warner Television.
Uh-huh.
He worked on it as he was a minor player in it. Owen Orr, and he said everybody knew it was a disaster when they were making it. It was just
even Raquel.
Yes, absolutely.
I love Raquel.
I think maybe ironically, Rex Reed didn't know it was a disaster because
I'm marvelous.
He had never seen a film from that perspective before. And I actually enjoyed some of Rex Reed performances when he did like TV shows and things like that. I mean, it's fine, but this film was just a total disaster.
He was great in Superman the movie.
Yeah.
So this movie here, the one in question, directed by William Richard, written by him as well.
Yes.
Based on the Winter Kills 1974 novel by Richard Condon, produced by Fred C. Caruso.
Yeah.
Cinematographer. I'm not going to try that. Budget is $6.5 million. This made 1-083-799. So this movie made a lot of money.
It did all right. It did okay. And this is starting the era where the price of making films and also the profit margins of films is going to start to gradually go up, the late 70s and the 80s. And this film was great. It was perfect timing. And I'm sure that Oliver Stone saw this movie.
Yeah.
I really think he saw this movie and turned it over in his head about 400 times before he wrote JFK. Or maybe it was in the process of even, starting the germ of that idea, even that early on. It's a fabulous piece of conspiracy theory stuff.
Way too much truth. I don't know how it got made.
It not only way too much truth, but way too much misdirection, which is part of the truth.
That's right.
It's part of the what would be plausible in a situation like this. Tony Perkins is fantastic. He just comes on after being talked about for a half an act, and he shows up towards the end of the film, and he is a master of misdirection and illustrates it perfectly throughout.
If the movie, let's say something I don't believe for a moment. Let's say that the movie is bad.
Mm-hmm.
It sure isn't once Tony Perkins gets on that screen.
No.
And everything that's happened up to that point is justified.
Yes.
By Tony Perkins' scene, which I could imagine putting on a loop with Arthur Jensen's speech in Network.
Yeah.
Just letting them follow each
he's
other.
also a diabolical version of The Conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, the one thing too is that I love most about this movie is how over the top the assassinations and assassination attempts are. It's hilarious.
You're only having to top the Kennedy assassination,
right?
Which happens off screen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of the point too. That the actual machinations of it and the aftermath of it are more over the top than the actual act of doing it.
Yeah. And they nail all the little conspiracy stuff too. The rifle inside the pipe is just like,
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Oh, I put a label on it too, in case I knew this was going to happen. And it's like, okay, another one of the bizarrely dark, humorous moments. But it's like it's brilliantly played in almost totally straight. Some of the scenes are, like you say, over the top,
yeah,
but they're being played sincerely.
yes.
All of this stuff
Bridges is really good with that.
yes.
Yeah, John Huston. I love how he's armed to the teeth. He pulls out a gun, a slapjack, brass knuckles. It's like,
Yeah, and please return the brass knuckles.
yeah,
That's sentimental value.
Sentimental value. And it's straight. It's completely straight. It's the father to the son. Hey, look, I'm being honest with you here. I need these back, son. Okay, here are the keys to the car. Now bring it back in one piece. It's kind of like that.
It's like he's giving him the Porsche or something.
Yes. My favorite pair of brass knuckles from the 20s when I was running a speakeasy.
Tell me if this makes sense. If you found out the actual, honest to God truth of what was really going on, I'm talking about in real life in the world, all the the Club of Rome and Trilateral Commission and all of that stuff, Bohemian Grove.
Mm-hmm.
It is my feeling, and tell me whether or not you agree with this, that the truth of everything is vastly more complex and vastly simpler at the same time.
It's
than
also
you possibly knew.
It's also more terrifying to the naive mind.
Which
is most of us, by the way, when
Yeah.
it comes to the deepest, darkest stuff.
So there's a guy named Peter Levenda. Peter Levenda has written a lot of good books. He wrote Sinister Forces. Well, so he wrote a good book about Nazis and their obsession with the occult.
Mm-hmm.
But Levenda also, among other things, wrote the Necronomicon for Avon Books.
The non-existent Necronomicon.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
If you go, that's Peter Levenda.
Yeah.
But Levenda wrote a trilogy of books called the Sinister Forces trilogy. Wow.
Yeah.
It's really good if you get a chance to read it. And it deals with the Nine. There's a lot of Operation Paperclip stuff.
Yes.
And it goes all the way through the Mansons being programmed as part of this weird effort. And if Levenda's making it up, he has so thoroughly researched what he's made up and footnoted it and all of that.
Sure.
That it's just damned impressive.
He's examined all the possibilities for sure.
Yes.
Yes. The thing, for those who don't know, Operation Paperclip was the normalization of certain valuable or deemed valuable Nazis back into Western culture. A lot of scientists and people that were involved with espionage and things like that. And probably one of the most famous paperclippers was Werner von Braun. Who helped form and propagate NASA, and so that was something that most people were not aware of at the time, and became proliferated later when people were not going to even pretty much give a shit anymore.
It's Levenda's assertion,
that
the Nazis won the war.
Some of them did,
and they won the war by very quietly having themselves inserted into incredibly powerful positions in both the Soviet workings and the American workings on the scientific end, but dictating a lot of policy, and that getting to the moon was a Nazi operation that happened in concert between our Germans are better than their Germans. The Soviet Nazis and the American Nazis secretly kind of working together, doing research on either end with the resources of either country to get there.
Right.
A lot of weird stuff, but
yeah, it was well, the space race was less about there was no real difference, as you're saying, theoretically, and in terms of they had astrophysicists, we had astrophysicists, and all this sort of thing. It was more a matter of the type of material that was available, I think.
Yes.
That caused the Americans to ultimately get there first.
Yeah.
Are we getting through to you, Mr. Sains?
Well, we're into the sort of the underpinnings of what passes for conspiracy. That's all of the things that we're talking about. So,
filming began on this movie December 13th, 1976. Many of the film's interior scenes were shot in 1977 at the Greystone Mansion in Beverly Hills.
I was thrilled to see Greystone.
Yeah.
The home to the American Films Institute Film School. Richard wanted the film's Houston's Death to be filmed at the Pan Am building, but claims he was denied permission by an irate employee who threatened that the film would not be allowed within 20 blocks of the building because the Kennedys have offices there.
I guess I can understand that sensitivity, especially since that was much closer to time, and everybody involved was still alive in the Kennedy family.
Yeah.
But he does get the Pan Am building in a couple of shots from about 20 blocks away.
Yeah, that's something too. All the cool locations we get in this movie are really well shot and well done.
I was particularly impressed with two things: the interiors of the mansion, which are enormous rooms, enormous hallways. Everything is huge. It's oversized, and it's almost expressionistic.
But accurately so.
It is. But it works perfectly. And the other thing is all of the like the Rockies and the Sierras or whatever that mountain range is where they're shooting out west. I thought of you immediately, Jewel, because I know you love location shots like that. So.
Yeah, I definitely, when they were doing the tank scenes, were just a lot of fun.
That was whacked.
That
was whacked.
Yes.
That was something that probably fired Oliver Stone's mind, that scene right there, because you're dealing with something that's completely off center and off balance. And insane, and there's a lot of that in JFK.
Yeah,
and Sterling Hayden with his most hilarious facial hair yet.
Oh yeah, that beard, just insane. It's like some Confederate general gone completely bad.
Anyways, I look at that and I think about Spielberg wanting to put him in Jaws as Quint.
Oh my God!
And he was his first choice.
Yeah,
for Quint, and it would have been a great choice and a really difficult one for Stephen to manage.
Yeah.
I think Hayden would have been a big at sea. Oh God, what was he thinking?
I think it was bad enough having Robert Shaw, because he was also a bit. Creating his own script and drama.
Spielberg didn't even stay for the shooting the last scenes.
Yeah, he
had fled.
Can't handle this anymore.
That's exactly what happened. He was on, and apparently he ran into a Universal executive on the flight from New York to L.A. and the Universal executive knew enough about the shooting schedule of the film that he said, "Stephen, pardon me for speaking out of place, but aren't you supposed to still be directing the shark movie?"
Yeah, second.
And Spielberg just kind of looked at him and said, "Yeah." Well, why aren't you there?
Yeah.
And when you look at how they made the movie, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, one of my favorite leaving leaving the film was Michael Bay completely walking away from Friday the 13th remake because he did not research the franchise at all.
That might make it difficult.
He didn't know there was going to be nudity and stuff, and he's like, "Look, I can't handle all this nudity. I'm out.
I can't handle his nudity."
Yeah, that's what
is he, a commie?
That's what
Totally.
That's like the fun part.
He's like, "I'm out of here," and they're like, "Wait, we're not finished. I don't care. You finish it."
What you do is that you show up to the set in the nude that day, so the actors won't be self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they'll be
shared by everyone.
Or they'll run screaming.
Yes. I think the screaming will definitely happen for sure. For sure.
I think you're exaggerating.
Yeah, there is some fun. Like, I like the wrestling of the maid who tries to kill.
Oh my God, yes. Then she tears open her freaking blouse as if to sort of, claim rape as she's running out of the gigantic suite of rooms. It's like,
and the butler witnesses this all. He's like coming up with the glass, and it's like he's like confused, like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah,
it's hilarious, and I like how they had the snow effect going. You have a bit of sense of vertigo too.
Yeah,
they're high up on the
balcony. Yeah,
on the balcony. It's just a beautiful shot and really well directed. That scene.
Yeah, it is. But his recovery from it is also like, wow, what's going on? Okay, I'm going to chase her now.
Yeah.
Call the police.
He's all about law and order here.
Yeah.
I like how another little satire of this is the Philadelphia detective or whatever going to the wrong building. They're like, no, over here.
Yeah.
He has no idea where he's going.
And as if to prefigure E.T., the extraterrestrial, Richard Boone shows back up in a white terry cloth hooded robe. It's like the resurrection. And I think that's what they were trying to do, the same as were doing in E.T., was to sort of show him this Christ-like resurrection pose. I thought that was, I don't know, just absurdly hilarious.
What if Elliot had stumbled across a drunken Richard Boone?
Yes.
And had hidden him in the closet and didn't know if he was a space alien. He knew he wasn't human. But beyond that, he wasn't really sure.
Well, at least his ex-wives had told him that he wasn't human. But
that's going to be the great thing about AI.
You can do
your ability to, at the click of a mouse, go in and remake that movie that way.
That's right. And then make sure that your legal team is at the ready for all lawsuits coming your way.
Yeah, the fact that we get Paladin in this movie, I love.
Old Paladin, old broken down Paladin.
Yes.
And they bring him in right at the beginning.
Yes, he's on the ship.
Yeah,
when the whole thing starts, he's the guy that really. So he's the one who comes in and it's like Sister Mary Ignatius explains it all for you.
Yeah,
because he does all of that.
And who better really than somebody who played one of the best Western characters ever?
Oh yeah, he was great. I mean, he played a lot of different Western characters. Paladin was probably his most sort of heroic character, and Paladin was sort of an anti-hero because he was he was for hire kind of guy. But
Western Batman.
He was very cultured, and he was, when pressed, he could be altruistic about certain things, but he was a gun for hire.
He's also one of the villains in The Shootist, John Wayne's last movie.
Yes, he is. He's in. Oh God, there's another movie that he's in.
The Cushion Fall.
Although he would have been brilliant in that.
He would have been great.
No, it's an earlier film with. I'm thinking maybe with another Duke Wayne film, but I'm not positive. Where he plays a villain.
You know.
But anyway, he was the hard bitten, raw boned, craggy faced guy that that's the guy you wanted for those kind of roles. But he was also extremely intelligent, well versed, well educated man, so he could play against that type very easily.
Every year at Pride Week, I always wonder at the big parade who's going to be more outrageous. Is it going to be Sam Elliott or Tommy Lee Jones?
That's right.
Who's going to outdo the other? Just shockingly transgressive.
Yes, the assless chaps on Tommy Lee last year won it all.
But those are the guys you get.
Yes, those are the guys you get.
Yeah.
You pay your money, you take your chances.
Here's it's completely unrelated, but it's because I've got my. Let's see if this shows up. My. Can you see this? Yeah, my Men in Black pin.
Yeah.
That's from the actual production.
Cool.
Not like what the highest echelons of the Muckety Mucks got. And a friend of mine was involved in Men in Black, and he said he liked all the actors, but one of the reasons he was really touched by Tommy Lee Jones is why Tommy Lee Jones did the movie? Because he read the comics.
Yeah.
And he liked them.
Cool.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vincent D'Onofrio is fun in that movie too.
Oh, yes, that's Cockroach Man. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys watching the new Daredevil series?
Have not.
Really
I've
good.
not seen it yet.
No. I didn't see the old Daredevil series.
No.
Not one of my favorite.
Although D'Onofrio is excellent as Kingpin.
Sure.
So yeah.
Sure.
It's pretty good. It's really good so far.
I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's just Daredevil is a character who never did a lot for me. I don't know.
Probably because Ben Affleck played him at one time.
That had a lot to do with it. Had a lot to do with it. Yeah, we forget about that being really the second, not counting X-Men, the second of the big superhero revival movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he came after Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Initially, I think he's still in there. Like you can catch the Punisher in Spider-Man 2, I think, but he just walks past Peter Parker. He doesn't do anything.
And who's playing him in the movie? I forget.
The guy who played him in the Thomas Jane.
The guy that played him in the 04.
Yeah.
Punisher. Yeah. With Rebecca Romijn and John Travolta. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see John Bethel if he gets his own Punisher movie. We'll see.
Yes, and that looks like it might be a possibility.
Yeah, for sure. I really love how John Huston's character is offering him, oh, hey, you want one of these nurses? If not...
Yes. Well, it's in terms of that, it recalls his role in Chinatown. He's a bit of a lascivious guy, and he's so rich he gets anything he wants.
This is John Huston playing himself.
Pretty much, yeah. He was rough and rowdy and had plenty of affairs.
If you want a really good picture of John Huston, there's an episode of Ray Bradbury Theater where, oddly enough, he's played by Peter O'Toole, who does not ostensibly act like Huston.
Right.
He doesn't have the voice. He doesn't, hey kid,
it's gonna be okay.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't do that. But he is playing John Huston, and it's a short story Ray Bradbury wrote called The Banshee, about a Huston-like director who has a Bradbury-like writer out to Ireland to write this damn Moby Dick movie, and that's the two words that go together. By the way,
damn and Moby.
No. That Moby is not a descriptive word. But he's writing this Moby Dick movie, and he's just playing one cruel practical joke on the writer after another, and he gets his comeuppance. Well, that was about John Huston, because this is shit John Huston would do to Bradbury when he dragged Bradbury from, Illinois to Ireland to write Moby Dick. He made him write it over in Ireland, even though it's an American.
Houston attempted to bond with men in that sort of toxic masculine way. That's what he did. I think he had his best luck with fellow toxic masculine personality, Humphrey Bogart.
Bogart, yeah, he's about
They
to
used
say,
to get into fist fights and drinking bouts and everything else, and they loved each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, for a road trip, who I would have teamed them up with to teach them a lesson, teach Houston and Bogart a lesson about that. Put them in an Audi with Werner and Klaus. Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski. You know, talk about toxic masculinity. Well, when they haul out the guns and actually start shooting at each other,
yes,
you're going to see a whole new side.
Yeah.
Of those
it's
guys.
either that or Oliver Reed.
Yes.
Oliver Reed and Ken Russell. But Ken would just sort of laugh at Ollie and just
seriously.
Oh my God. What's some of you guys' favorite scenes in this movie?
The restaurant scene is predictable but fun and presages all of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight stuff really well.
Yes, it does.
My father owns this building kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I like the whole progression you see. It's the prodigal who comes back, who's been away, and how quickly he falls into this milieu of wealth, privilege, and how naive he is about how it all came to be.
Yeah.
You know, I like that progression a lot. So I enjoy that final sort. I love actually my most favorite part is a tie between two scenes. It's Tony Perkins and his monologues in that latter scene, and it's the initial monologues about family and all the bastards that are against us that Houston has. Towards the beginning of the film, after the prodigal returns and he has a chance to actually talk to him about what he wants, and he's in the bedroom and and Jeff Bridges is laying in the bed and he goes into this whole tirade about how it's really done, how we're really going to find these things out before we go to Congress, that kind of thing. Brilliant monologue, great stuff, and of course in that. That cadence that he uses and so on. And it's just like, it's total authority, even though it may be a total lie, that kind of thing. It's brilliantly done. And again, Tony Perkins coming in with all of his explanations towards the end of it, which is sort of, they're like bookend monologues. One point of view is over here, and here's the other one. And they're both probably 90% untrue. Or deflective in some way. There's a couple of germs of truth you can find in there, but boy, oh boy, is it hard to find, and that's one of the points of the film.
Yeah. I love where Jeff Bridges is really underrated in this movie is all his reactions to the things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so good. It's very Captain America-ish.
He's a very sort of naive, altruistic guy in a lot of ways. Coming into this, and of course he's still in his 20s here. He's like 29 when they first started making the film. I think he was like 27. And he's made two really good films up to this point, and I consider King Kong one of them.
Yes,
I was hoping you would say that because there are traces of King Kong in this.
Yes, and the other one is Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
Yeah,
I like those two films, and he's done. I mean, he did other films in that span of time between the early 70s and then. But his brother was more well known by the early 70s.
How ironic!
Yeah,
how ironic.
By the way, Bo is still acting.
He is.
He's in his mid 80s and he's still going.
Wow, what's he doing?
He does television bits. He does, film roles. Secondary kind of film roles. He still works. He doesn't go for the high wire stuff anymore, obviously, because he's.
Bo is a great example of one of the things that made 70s casting so wonderful and brilliant, and it was this: you could be really ugly and be a sex symbol.
And Bo isn't so much ugly as he's bear-like.
Those eyebrows.
Huge eyebrows.
Yeah, it's those
and that
weird eyebrows.
roundish face. And yeah, he's not a handsome guy at all. But he's solid, you know.
Oh, he is solid. He is the Randy to his brother's Dennis.
Yes, absolutely. If you ever let me see here for a minute, guys. There's a particularly spectacular early role that Beau Bridges had, and it's by the way, Beau Bridges' career started in 1948 when he was still a child.
Wow.
So, and before Jeff was born, because Jeff was born in 49. In 49, he was in the Red Pony. So he was doing stuff, high-end stuff for quite a while. There is a black and white film that is on YouTube called The Incident, and it's based on a teleplay, Ride with Terror by Nicholas Baer, which had been it was in 67 and it had been a teleplay in 63. And it's got Tony Musante and Martin Sheen, Beau Bridges, Ruby Dee, Jack Gilford, Ed McMahon, Gary Merrill, Donna Mills, Brock Peters, Thelma Ritter, and Jan Sterling all in the same film. It's an incredible piece.
It's a lot of erotic power.
Yes. Or anti-erotic power, as the case may be.
Wow.
Martin Sheen plays a punk in it. There's these punks that get on this subway car, and the whole thing is the drama around how their presence causes all of these breakdowns in social civility and everything else to happen, because they're all they're
juvenile delinquents.
They're kind of they are, and it's got the same milieu as Dutchman, except it's not specifically about race, which Dutchman is. But it's got that same feel to it because it takes place on a subway car, and it's all these pressures that are brought out by the stress of these presences. So it's an excellent piece of work. It will make you uncomfortable, but it's very good.
One of my favorite scenes in this movie is when they're in the chicken coop.
Oh God, yeah. And there are two different. There's Chicken Coop 57 and there's Chicken Coop in 79. It's like, that's quite interesting.
Chicken Coop.
Yeah, when he goes to interview this one guy who. And, yeah. And they keep throwing back into the past this one sort of mob character that's supposed to sort of represent Jack Ruby, and how they manipulate him into being the second assassin and all of this sort of thing. Yeah. So the chicken coops. God, the chickens are eating like a dead chicken, and it's all this weird stuff.
You could tell too. The director and crew were having fun with the tank scenes. I mean, that's just.
Yes.
We do get some desert in this movie, which I like.
Oh yeah, desert and mountains. Yeah. It's really good. Really, seriously breathtaking scenery in the Western.
They did a really good job too, getting everything in that they wanted to with this movie too, and that's what makes it the more fun. From high rises to desert scenery to the guard. Yeah, go in. He's expecting you, and he's like, I don't care what the guard told you.
Right. And the cinematography now, we're getting ready to go into the 80s. It's the best of the 70s. Plus, the grain of the film is better than the average 70s, film that you see. Not that it's always bad. It depends on the film, but particularly made for television, 35 millimeter. The grain is a little washy. in a lot of places. This stuff is not. It's very well defined. It's very vivid in terms of the color and the shadow and everything else. So it's the best of what the 70s has to offer in terms of cinematography.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know what they shot it on and if there was some difference.
Or whether it was the lenses or something
That's
like that.
what I mean. Yeah,
or the aperture, whatever they decided to use, or the cinematographer themselves, because a lot of times that can make a difference.
Sure.
In a lot of ways. So, yeah, the grain of the film seems to be really sharp in this, and maybe it's just because we were watching a really good print too. That has a lot to do with it as well.
Well, that's one thing. Is I remember, and Alan, you may have had the same experience in the late 70s, thinking how the movies from the early 70s and late 60s looked like crap, and thank goodness everything looks nice and crisp now.
Yeah, right.
And now we look back on stuff, and it's seemingly following us through time, and I think that has to do more with transfers than anything else, and just how these things are maintaining themselves.
For some those that have been restored, you get to see something more akin to what they looked like when they were first in the theater or first on television.
Yeah, really fun movie. Really, really fun movie. Scale 1 to 10, what do you guys give this?
Oh, this is a 10 for me in terms of.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I thought if Wrong is Right went over, because this is a good counterpart to Wrong is Right.
Yeah. It does. It has some of the same absurdist qualities, some of the counterintuitive stuff that's satirized. It's got and
I mean, you can imagine this
for days. So
in the greatest drive-in ever. This being on a triple feature on one summer night in election year with Wrong is Right and The Stuntman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
this gets.
Cool, how about you?
This gets a 10. It's really fun. And everybody's having a good time in this movie, despite all the conspiracy that's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, Winter Kills. It's a very fun. It's almost satire to a degree too.
It's black comedy and satire in places, and in places that it's a little bit more serious and a little bit more preachy about certain things, like don't be so naive about this sort of thing. But overall, it's hysterical black comedy.
It's amazing too how it disappeared from even film history, from obscure film history.
Right. Right, because I don't think I may have heard of it at the time and just it went right out of one ear and out the other kind of thing.
Well, and it doesn't have, because a movie that similarly disappeared like that was Ninth Configuration. But Ninth Configuration has the whole Blatty thing.
Right, so
you're going to pick up on it from there.
Yeah, people that get into Blatty are going to find that film.
Oh, yeah. So I had a suggestion for a movie, and we can do it whenever. So I don't know if we had another one lined up, but it could go after that one or whatever. And it sort of completes, oddly enough, some of our Peter Sellers exploration, because it was a movie Sellers was in briefly, but they had to reshoot it. Our Billy Wilder stuff that we've talked about, and the Rat Pack stuff, and that's Kiss Me Stupid.
Right, you had dropped that on message, and I saw it there, and I thought that was a good idea.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
Oh, it's a sleazy movie. Ray Walston is the replacement for Peter Sellers, which is weird, and something that Sellers would have been able to get away with a strange kind of lascivious innocence. With Walston just seems lewd. and so it's an improvement for me.
Yes.
Is Tuesday good? Tuesday night?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. I can do that.
Tuesday night we'll do Kiss Me Stupid.
And Patrick dropped the
Internet Archive.
.org link on.
So if you want to watch ahead, so you know what we're talking about, go ahead to the audience.
Yes. I'll
follow the bouncing ball.
Yeah, I'll leave a link to Kiss Me Stupid in the description box.
I think that's great.
That's great.
For those who want to go watch it, I'll also leave a description for Winter Kills because it's a fun. This movie's fun to review.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Link to Patrick McCray's Dark Shadows Day Book of Ballads also going to be in the description box. A link to Alan Gallant's YouTube channel, Collins Port After Dark, is going to be in the description box. Guys, you have a good night, and I'll see you Tuesday.
Thank you very much, sir.